Welcome back to the Joystick Show. We're your three favorite friends from Hawaii here to talk story about comic news, pop culture, and video games. If this is your first time, mahalo for spending some time with us. I'm your co-host Drake. That's Thomas.
What up, what up?
And that's Scott.
How's it?
And welcome to our 69th episode, our Big Schtick Energy episode, where we're going to be shticking it to you super hard because 69 is a number that also has sexual connotation.
Yeah, we got big stick energy. Wow, I screwed that up.
Big. It's okay.
It's like,
Yeah.
Your heart was in it, though. I could tell.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we felt it. But first things first, okay? Thank you so much, Bethany H, for that wonderful email, letting us know that you enjoy the podcast, letting us know that you support us. That makes us feel super especial, and makes us kind of want to push a little bit harder and see where we can go from that. But again, thank you, Bethany H. We appreciate those kind words.
Yeah, thank you, Bethany. Appreciate it.
Thank you,
That was
Bethany.
an awesome email. Keep them coming.
And we'll just go straight into all of the things we're about to talk to you about right now. First things first, Scott, the Mario trailer, the newest one, just dropped. We're all Nintendo fans, but give us your first take on this new Mario trailer.
Yeah, so, we only got that teaser before, and I was kind of sold on that already, minus the... Actually, no, I don't mind the Chris Pratt voice. Like, I feel like the visuals and everything are, like, exactly where I want them to be, so I didn't mind it too much. In this, we get to hear Chris Pratt talk a little more. He even says, like, his "Let's go" as a Mario, but he, like, kind of whispers it, so... He still sounds kind of like Chris Pratt. Huh?
Give it a shot.
He goes, "Let's go."
No,
Something like that.
no, really, give it a shot. Go
That's
for
how
it.
he did it. He did a whisper.
No, I thought he does like a "Let's go."
Let's
And then
go. Like, something
there you
like
go. That was
Okay,
that was
cool.
good. Yeah.
I don't remember if he did that, but I know he did the whisper. But in this one, it's cool. They hint at a lot of other like stuff that happens in the Nintendo Mario universe. Like they had one of the biggest things they had was like the Mario Kart reference, and he's like literally in a cart with like Peach on a bike and stuff. So that was cool. Rainbow Road. They had there's a scene with a bunch of Yoshis, all the different colors, like stampeding. There's a short scene where he's like getting his butt kicked by DK, which kind of reminded me of like Smash Bros vibes. So like it
Totally.
seems like right, like
Yeah,
it
from
was
like
funny
the
too.
angle. Sorry.
Right.
Yeah, from the angle though, it's like it looked almost like you're looking at it from a TV screen, like where it's you're looking at him from the side.
Yeah,
in
right.
a
Because
way.
the thing they're fighting on was kind of like a bridge. So when they showed it, it looked totally like Smash Bros. Like they're running at each other, and then of course comedically he gets his butt kicked. But yeah, I'm really digging it. I don't mind the voices. I think the visuals are awesome. It looks like a funny movie. I think we're living in a good time. We get to see some like really cool video game things finally come to life and be good. For a long time, we've got a lot of bad video game movies, and it seems like they're kind of getting good. So I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, I'm the opposite of you in the sense that the first trailer I was like, what is this garbage? I'm like, this is Chris Pratt. It's just Chris Pratt's voice on Mario's face. And I was like, what is this shit? And then this trailer really was like, oh, okay. They gave a little bit more of the Mario catchphrases. I'm like, that sounds like Mario. Like, I get it now. And then the other thing I noticed was the supporting cast are all really good too.
Yeah.
Like, who plays Toad? I mean, Jack Black as Bowser is like spot on.
Yeah.
But I
Keegan
think it's
Michael
Charlie
Key, I
Day.
believe, is Toad.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And then Charlie Day is Luigi, right?
Yeah, he's good too. He sounds funny. The rest of the cast though sounds awesome. And you're right. I fully second the animation. It looks really, really fire.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. This newest trailer, I think maybe strategically they give you a little bit of teaser, they make you worry about it, and then they give you this, which is I think a lot more fan fairy, which for me gets me super excited. Almost kind of like how they did Sonic in a way, right? But obviously they kind of did it dirty with Sonic's original face, and they had to go back and change that. But I think this iteration of Mario has learned from the things in the past, i.e. the the live action Mario with one of our favorite John Leguizamo, and the Hedgehog, and seeing what they did from Sonic originally to what we know and love, and has become almost a trilogy so far. So, from one familiar thing to another, that '90s show is exactly what you think it is. It's another iteration of that '70s show, but Netflix is really taking it to heart. The trailer in itself comes out with your favorite characters, the mom and the dad from the original That '70s Show. And then you have some of the new characters that are introduced, which they don't necessarily go deep into detail, but we know that they're the main character in that situation is a relative. And then we get to see a little bit more new characters, but we get to see That '70s Show kind of more congruent, right? Because when they did That '80s Show at one point in time, it really didn't hit. And, with Topher Grace and the original cast coming through, I think they've been slated to have some of the original cast, maybe sans Topher Grace just because he got so big, coming into this role. And it's also nice to see because when Ashton Kutcher did The Ranch, he brought on most of the original That '70s Show cast. So maybe we'll get to see a little bit of that iteration. But what did you guys think about that '90s show? Are you excited? Do you think it's going to be something to be about, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm excited. Sorry, Scott. We
you're
did
good.
that. We made eye contact. At least it looked like it on the screen.
Yeah.
And I was like, who's going to draw first? But I'm excited about it. It looks fun. Like, I like that it's in the same house as the original. It seems like the whole set is all the same, just updated. And that girl that looks like she's maybe Red's granddaughter, I'm guessing, she kind of gives me Topher Grace vibes. So I'm on board with that. Like, and more of Kitty and Red just being ridiculous is, how could you go wrong? They're amazing.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. I agree with that too. Like, I like the original set. Was it Red and Kitty? They're like, two of like my favorite characters, especially when they're like, in scenes together. It's great. And then just seeing Red with the kids, it was kind of funny too, because he's like the grandpa now, but like he still has that, like his attitude and everything still fits in that role. Where they're like, we can play, or we can party, and then like he just gives a straight face, like, yeah, guys, we gotta cut the party. Like he gives a lot without saying anything, which is still great. So they're two strong actors. So far, just all that we need to wait for is like the writing and everything, right? But so far, like I'm on board. Like they've got everyone's attention, I feel like. So it's up to them to keep it. So,
Yeah,
definitely.
I agree with both of you. I'm super stoked to see that dynamic play out, especially because it's been almost prerequisite now, right? Bringing back some of the old content that we've seen, some of those original IPs like Fuller House, et cetera, et cetera. So, I'm excited. But here's a quick hypothetical for you. What do you think it would be like if a bear consumed a gratuitous amount of cocaine?
Wow.
Terrifying.
Well,
Terrifying?
I think it'd be awesome. It'd be like what we posted on Instagram. It'd be like that dude Chad I used to party with. Guy was a freaking animal.
Dang, Chad.
Yeah.
Well, you're in luck because Cocaine Bear, a trailer just dropped, and it looks insane. The CG actually looks really good. The bear looks super realistic.
Right.
We have a lot of interesting cast members as well too, from the comedy realm, from the TikTok realm. But Scott, go a little bit more into the cast and kind of your overall thoughts on how you think that that movie is going to produce some major laughs and some funny instances.
Yeah, I think already they have a good cast. Like right off the bat in the beginning of the trailer, I recognized this dude from TikTok. He's like one of the paramedics, it looks like, in the show, and he does like these funny videos and like from the perspective of like retail workers, or perspectives of retail workers and whatnot. And like I noticed him, right? He has like this really distinctive look, and I'm like, hey, that's that dude. So good for him, for one, like coming from TikTok and like getting in this movie. Like that's pretty awesome. We live in an awesome world now where we can do that. It looks like a pretty funny comedy. Like you said, the CG is pretty good. It's better than I thought it was gonna be. There are parts of it that's like a little wonky, but it's also like about a bear who eats a block of cocaine and it's gonna do crazy things. So there's parts of it that's like, oh, this feels a little like what is it? Nutty? No, not what is it called? Dr. Dolittle-y, like but this bear trying to like it looks like it's tripping balls at first, and then it's like extra aggressive, and like it's just so crazy. And it's got, does it? Wow, it's got Ice Cube and his son.
Oh, I
Look at the
guess
cast
so.
now.
I saw
Wow.
Ray Liotta's in it. So
Ray
that's,
Liotta's in it. Yep.
I know, so
yeah.
ridiculous.
There's that
It's
dude
gotta
that
cast.
played Solo from, or like Han Solo from Solo. He's
Oh
in
yeah,
it.
yeah. That dude is.
Oh,
in
and
it.
there's a dude. Was it Christopher Hidgevu? I think he's the one from Game of Thrones, the redhead that like loved Brianna Tarr. I was like, that's
Wow.
a woman or whatever. I think that's him.
Oh wow.
So they looks like they've got a pretty strong cast, and it looks hilarious. Like
Yeah.
it's and then even
Sharknado
the,
vibes are better.
I think better than Sharknado. That was like this movie feels like it's leading into a little bit of a campy thing, but also paying homage to like, I don't know. It's just like a wild movie, like kind of like B movies, but like also comedy. Like it's like Pineapple Express ish
Yeah.
meets like a Sharknado or something. You know, like it's kind of
Okay, I can dig
crazy.
that.
Yeah.
I think you're spot on with the Pineapple Express because it's like it looks like a kind of horror dark comedy. Is at the end of Pineapple Express, it's like ultraviolet, right? Like people are getting
Yeah.
shot in the face and there's like blood and guts everywhere. This definitely has that to it. And man, yeah, it looks fun. When I first saw the name, I'm like, this can't be real. This must be like a straight to DVD movie. And then you look at the cast in the trailer, like, damn, it looks good. This bear is like Revenant level bear, and
Yeah.
I want to see it eat some faces. So it looks like we're going to be getting that. And yeah, just the jokes that are going to come out of Cocaine Bear, I think, are just going to be
Yeah.
phenomenal. I want to be alive when this movie drops, just for
Exactly.
the jokes.
Yes.
What a strong title too.
I know.
Cocaine Bear,
Bear.
like,
It gets
what?
right to the point. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's switch gears a little bit. And Thomas and Scott, I know you guys are playing Gotham Knights right now.
Yes.
Yeah, we are.
And sick.
I just wanted to confirm that. Just
I'm playing a little bit of Pokemon Scarlet, but we did talk about we're going to do a little bit more. There's some news that we can get into with those things, but there's some more pressing news. First things first, Antonio Banderas did an interview, and he said that he'd support I guess not a remake, but a reboot of Zorro if Tom Holland was involved. So questions out the bat. Did you watch the original Zorro? How did you like it? And how do you think Tom Holland can fit into that realm?
yeah, Scott, do you want to go?
Yeah, sure. It's been a while since I've seen Zorro, the Antonio Banderas Zorro. I remember enjoying it though. I remember it being a good time. I feel like he could do a good job. He definitely has that like blockbuster appeal, right? So he can clearly be a leading man. Though he is like still boyish to me, and I've never seen Zorro as like a boyish like person.
Right.
You know, he's kind of I've seen him more as like ladies fawn over him, and he's like also really tough and like mysterious and like almost like a Batman-esque, but like more like fashionable and smooth talking. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. Like I think it could work, but at the same time it could kind of end up like what's that other movie he did with Mark Wahlberg? It was based on the video game.
Uncharted.
Uncharted. Like yeah, like the movie wasn't horrible, but it also like it could have been better. So I don't know. I feel like it would still do good. If they did it, it would probably still do good. Like he's a big enough actor, but I don't know if that'd be like one I'd jump out to see. I don't know. How do you guys feel about that?
I remember Zorro faintly. It kind of reminds me of the Count of Monte Cristo.
Oh, okay.
In terms of like similar storylines, sort of, kind of, not really. And I think I agree with the point. Like Tom Holland definitely has a like typecast situation, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see like a Zorro Jr. or like it'd be interesting to see kind of him, i.e. Tom Holland, get into a situation where he would have to have revenge on his mind, or at least be able to create this persona where he's, fighting for the greater good, which I guess he has done with Spider-Man, but we know Peter Parker to be kind of a younger individual. So maybe it could be an interesting casting to where he's stepping up in his growth in terms of him being like an older character or typecast as a much older character in that sense. So it could be a good transition movie for him. But I don't know, Thomas, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I hear what you guys are saying, and yeah, it'd be interesting. I think I'm on the counter a little bit just because, like, you're right. Like, I don't see him as this debonair guy, you know, where Antonio Banderas really was, you know, like Desperado and Zorro and, you know, Catherine Zeta-Jones. Like, I can't see, if you take out Antonio Banderas, you know, and Tom Holland being the same age, is like, I can't see him filling that gap. The other thing, too, and it's like, you know, I guess it shouldn't be about that, but somebody who has more of that Latin flair to me would make more sense. Like, I'd be more down with, and now seeing what he's done, I wouldn't mind seeing like a Tenoch Huerta do it. Like, he's like way more kind of smooth. Like, yeah, he not smooth, but maybe it is smooth. He's just more debonair. Like, he looks like a ladies' man, where Tom Holland is like the guy girls want to take home to mom and like take to prom, and like Tenoch Huerta is like, you know, the guy who flies you off to Mexico for one crazy night and drinks margaritas and makes love out in front of the sunset, you know, like.
Ay, Dios
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
El grande verga.
Right.
Yes.
So
Yeah, you're right. Namor would make a great initiation there.
it's cool that Antonio Banderas thinks about Tom Holland that way though. So I'm like that's cool. I'm down with them being friends. Like, if they did a movie together, I'm all for that. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Well, in terms of interesting pairings, Amazon and WB have a major animation deal on the brink. What are we thinking that they can accomplish, and what do we think is going to come of it?
My first
Scott,
thought,
to you.
No. I want to hear his first thought. Yeah, I want to hear his first thought.
Yeah, my first thought was, all right, wait, do we have to go to Amazon to now watch DC stuff? Because it's like, didn't we just get used to seeing it on HBO Max? Yeah. Like, and now we got to go to Amazon? I'm like, that's very confusing. And also, like, why didn't HBO do this, since they already have DC on? They're owned by Warner Brothers, and why didn't they just like build it out on their own network? Like, that's just so weird. It's so backwards to me on like what HBO and Warner Brothers is trying to do. I don't get it. It seems like, man, I don't know if I sound super negative tonight, but it's just like these things, like, it just doesn't make sense. It, you know, with everything that Warner Brothers just did to cut all the money from Batgirl and, you know, other shows that they've canceled, it's like, why not, you know, if Amazon wants it, there's clearly value in it. You guys already own the rights. Now just pay people to produce it, and it's going to be fire. Like, just, well, maybe unless they don't think they can do it the right way, then I don't know.
Interesting.
You know,
Interesting.
maybe, again, I don't really, maybe like you, I don't really know too many details about it other than that. But I wonder if, like, Amazon has their own animators they work with. So, like, if we're looking at DC, if we look at DC in particular, DC, like, animated movies / shows being animated by maybe the same people who do, like, or doing like Vox Machina or like Invincible or something, I could be down for that, because that animation is pretty awesome.
That's true. There's
one thing that, like, the Marvel and DC movies, you know, the animated ones that I used to buy religiously, and now I just kind of wait for HBO Max. The American style, like, it's like never as good, obviously, as Japanese animation, and like the best American style shows that we're getting would be like Vox Machina and like Invincible. So even the latest Green Lantern movie I saw, like it kind of felt like dated, like the art style. So
yeah, I agree with
that's a
you.
thing.
Yeah, because like the story, everything was cool, but you're right. Like, it felt like an old cartoon, like the old Justice League cartoon in a way, like just updated. And it's like, what, we haven't moved past that a little bit more already? Yeah, so you're right. I didn't think about the whole Invincible and all that, because that animation was some of the best American adult animation I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, it is. To bring back your point, Tom, it is interesting to see or hear that Channing Dungey, who's a high-level executive at the Warner Brothers Warner Brothers TV group. It's talking about essentially for the content, right? DC wants to potentially have content and have Amazon produce some DC content on top of Amazon. So to your point, I'm wondering if it is just like Amazon has more money, they have a little bit more reach, possibly merch as well too could be the case. But another point that Scott brought up is like, is it going to move things forward for DC? Because if it doesn't, then that kind of doesn't make sense for them. But I guess, we'll see how that pans out. I know that Amazon does have a wide reach, so
that's a good point though, the wide reach. Because I mean, don't you get the Prime membership if you get like the Prime delivery? Like, isn't that kind of
Yeah.
So like, and most people I assume have Prime delivery because they want it quick. So it's almost like being the Netflix. Like, not, I mean, HBO's big, but like not everyone has HBO. Like, there's a handful of people I talk to at work, and I'm like, oh, there's this new show on HBO. Like, oh, I don't have that. But you run into more people that have Amazon, so that could be a thing too. Like, bigger reach.
Yeah, that's a good point. And again, now that it's kind of like been kind of brewing in my head, it's like, you're right. If they're gonna produce it, they're gonna pay them for it. They're gonna produce it themselves, and then they get to reap the benefits of the merch and getting these characters and all that stuff out. It's like, why not sell it to Amazon? Because they're obviously willing to put like $500 million down for a semi good Lord of the Rings show.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
true. And from a company that has a lot of reach like Amazon, a budget, right, where they can put in a lot of money to things like that Rings of Power. Disney's Strange World came out recently, and according to a lot of different sources, it's tanking. How do we feel about Disney putting so much money into something that seems like the quantum realm and it tanking so hard?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy. Like, I think I read like an article saying like it's like the first Disney movie in like 30 years or something that's done like this bad, like kind of knocked it out of like, I guess it's always, all Disney movies have been kind of placed in like a certain spot on the list, and it's always like high, but this movie's like the first one in years that kind of brought it down. It's interesting, like the trailer looked good, like the animation looked good and whatnot. I definitely have to see the movie to judge it for myself, but it is strange to see.
Would you say it's a strange world?
It's a strange world, Fuck, I didn't even mean to say strange. But,
And scene.
and scene. No, well, I'm definitely gonna check it out when it comes on Disney Plus. But, maybe it's not as bad. It's hard to tell nowadays.
Because
whether
everybody
the
want to
internet's
talk.
right or not. But, I'll wait and see. But what do you think about it?
Yeah. From what I understand, like, because when I saw that headline, it was like all on Twitter, and then I was like, oh, let me see what the comments have to say. People were like, what is this movie? Never heard of it. Like, that was like the number one comment for like the top 3 comments. So I'm like, oh wow, they did not do a really good job marketing that movie. I guess.
That might be it.
Like, who would have known the main guy is Jake Gyllenhaal and Dennis Quaid? Like, the only reason I knew that was because I saw something that was like a weird clip on Instagram of the actors talking about the movie. And it was like, I had to like dig through it. It was just random. Like, I don't know. It just, like, normally for Marvel shows or movies, so I said Marvel, for Disney movies or shows.
Same.
I'm always thinking about Marvel. But, about it so far in advance. It's on everything. It's on Instagram and Twitter. And it's on the bus station. It's on buses, like all this stuff. It's everywhere, right? Billboards. And, like this, I didn't see anything about it other than what we saw, like, just because of the nature of, like, what we do. If I think I was a regular, like, Joe Schmo, I would not have known this movie would be coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember there being like a huge amount of marketing and advertising to it. So that is probably one of their major things that kind of went wrong. Because I think when we brought up that new Disney movie that's coming out, The Elementals, I think that had way more hype than this movie, which I would assume had a very similar budget, also was doing a little bit more avant-garde stuff and kind of going into that like spatial realm and having new kind of characters. I did hear or read some of the negative comments of not only was it kind of weird to follow. Some people say that maybe it was a little bit too woke. Some people said that the character positioning wasn't really cool. That even though the environment was good, the story in itself, the plot in itself wasn't the best. So I'll have to wait for Disney Plus to see whether or not it comes out well. But
I mean, you said it. I think you hit like such a important point, right? When you were just saying that, it's like I'll have to wait for Disney Plus to go see it. It's like, yeah. Like you're not even planning on going to the movies to watch it. And I could say like maybe if I had kids it'd be a different story, but for sure I wasn't planning on going to the movies to see that.
For sure. For sure. Well, I know we are excited for something coming out, Shazam 2, and per some sources that have already seen the film, they're discussing that it had a pretty lengthy runtime, and I don't know if that's a pro or a con, but from what you know about the plot so far, what do you guys think?
Well, I like that you said lengthy on our Big Schtick Energy episode.
Ooh,
and
could have been girthy.
I'm all about it. No, I think that could. I'm not upset. Like I'm not when I see like, oh god, a 3-hour movie. I'm probably the weirdo that's like, yes, a 3-hour movie. Like we get more of it. The only time where I ever felt like really long, and man, don't come after me and hate me or whatever on Twitter, but like, it was like, it felt long for me for like the Snyder Justice League. Like 4 hours felt like 4 hours in some parts for me.
That's long.
Yeah, but normally like what was 3 hours? Like the Black Panther, I watched it two times in theater, and it flew by the second time. So as much as I liked Shazam 1, I'm stoked that we get more Shazam in Shazam 2. Like that seems like a win for me.
Yeah, same. I think for me the only time a long runtime hinders a movie is on the rewatching of it. The first time I don't mind a long movie, but if it ends up being like, like, oh, that was pretty good, then if I'm going to rewatch a movie, chances are I might not watch a 4-hour movie just to rewatch it if it's not amazing. So, first watch, though, I'm definitely going to watch in theaters, so I'm down for a movie. And like you're saying, like I'm always down for like a director's cut and all that kind of stuff, if like a new experience and whatnot. So, I'm down for a long movie first run. Hopefully it's a good movie, though. It looks cool. It looks fun. Yeah.
I mean, a long run time with Martha Milans and a Lucy Liu and a Megan Good and a Helen Mirren, and also
Say
other
less.
male characters that are in there. Like, why not? I mean, these are people. Helen Mirren, we know, does great movies. Megan Good, we know she's evolved her acting chops. Lucy Liu is for me one of the first Asian representations we've had. So. Lengthy runtime. I mean, if the story's super doo-doo, but I mean, with the first Shazam, it wasn't. So hard to believe that would be the case this time. So again, one of those things we're gonna have to watch and see how that comes out. But another thing that I know we're getting into closer to December time, Christmas, Elf on a Shelf, Santa Claus, Violent Night premiered, and people are digging it.
Nice.
How are we feeling about Violent Night? Do we like seeing Red Guardian as Santa murdering?
Yes. Super yes. This is one of those movies, like, normally I'd probably be like, oh, it's pretty silly. I'll probably wait till it comes out digitally. But I remember we just went to a movie recently, and a couple of my friends were like, do you guys want to see this in theaters? I kind of want to come back for this. I'm like, yeah, I'd be down if you're down. So, like, it's one of those movies now. Like, nowadays, we've talked about this. There's not many movies that bring you out to theaters if it's not, like, Marvel or, like, some kind of big blockbuster movie. Though this looks like a freaking good time. Yeah, like, I love David Harbour, and, like, it's, like, campy, but, like, in the best way. Like, I love all the puns he has, and, like, the movie knows what it is, it seems like. And it's gonna give you everything you're hoping to see. Like that's what I got from the trailer. And from the responses, it seems like that's what it did. Like it delivered. So I'm pretty hyped for this.
Yeah. Tom, do you have a similar disposition?
Yeah, definitely. I think, Yeah, I mean, right now it's just journalists and like industry people who seem to have been able to see it, and that's the ones that have gotten the 82%. So I don't know if I'm like taking it to heart, but I'm also surprised because those are usually like the critics are the hardest to please. So with the critics liking it at 82%. And it being David Harbour and action and John Leguizamo, dude, I am on board. Like I would, yeah, if I could go to the theaters and watch it, like I will. This looks fun.
You bring up such an interesting point too, because it is very hard for the critics, especially with something like this, right? Violent Night, which is essentially a parody on Christmas, to which we kind of see something like this in a genre of holiday, and for them to be like giving it such high praise, very interesting. So. I'm definitely looking forward to it. One of my favorite scenes is when Santa David Harbour takes a bite of that cookie, and he's like, oh, like you really enjoy that cookie. It's something that you kind of always hope you see, I guess, if you were staying up to see Santa or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Would you? I just like quick tangent from there. Like, did you guys ever wake up in the morning and like the cookies left out had like bites in them?
Yeah, it got to a point in our house where Santa requested cheese and wine. So that's what we left out.
Oh, that's
cheese
that
and
seems a little
crackers and
dangerous
wine
when
and,
you're flying a sleigh.
I know.
Yeah,
across the
but we
world.
woke up and it was all gone. So
All right, Mom.
yeah.
I know it's you now.
What do you mean?
Only you like
mean?
Pinot
No, it's
Grigio.
Santa.
What do you mean? Why did you say mom?
Santa's
Oh.
bougie. Santa's
My
bougie.
mom.
Don't,
My mom
don't
went to
listen to
sleep
him,
early. Okay. Okay.
Tom. We're gonna have to end short.
Yeah. But with that premiere, we also see within Amazon and I believe, is it Paramount Plus or HBO Max? Or no, it's Netflix. $18.99 in the Peripheral. We'll end up doing reviews on those two things. But so far, from what we've seen, it's been pretty G. Thomas Scott, do you have anything to add on how good you've liked those things so far?
Pretty G.
Pretty G.
Second that.
Super G. Yeah, I'm a big fan of 1899 because I was a huge fan of Dark. And it kind of, the tone is there. And I've only gotten a couple episodes in, but it's good already. Like, it's the kind of show that I know I'll sink my teeth into. But it's going to take a lot of, like, dedication and time. Because it's not a show for me that I can binge. It's, like, too dense. And it is too much of a thinker. So yeah, I think it's best. Yeah, end of the season review, full season review on that one.
Nice.
No,
Me no can thinky anymore.
no can thinky. But to be honest, like it's interesting how we're seeing a lot of these, I guess, thinkers kind of come through. One of the video games we enjoyed the most was The Last of Us, and that was kind of story driven and a very beautiful kind of homage to like not only parenting but just the zombie genre, very different. And we're gonna get a live action version of it. And granted, we already have the trailer that came out, but we're getting more Last of Us posters to see a little bit more of what they're gonna include. Is that getting you excited, or do you think we should just calm ourselves down and wait?
Dude, as much as Viagra does.
Heyo.
No, sorry, Big Schtick
Blue
Energy joke.
Chew.
Girthy.
Yeah, Blue Chew. Exactly. Hit us up. Yeah, no, there's just the posters look super. I mean, just really quality. You know, like it looks very dramatic, and I like it because somebody online like juxtaposed it compared to like the video game posters or like the video game characters, and it looks just like the video game characters. So I like that they're just staying really close to the source material, and even though like the characters don't like, they may not even be like the same like ethnicity as the video game characters, like the way they're doing it is very much like, you know, honoring the source material.
Yeah, that's
tight.
always good to see, right? Because like, you know, they at least are looking at the video game. Like, you know,
Right.
Yeah.
Because there are stuff where you're like, this is a remake of this. Like,
Unlike
this, like, did they
Netflix's
even
The Witcher.
look at- Like M Night's Avatar. You're like,
Avatar.
watch
Well,
the
yeah, that's always the
cartoon.
go-to.
Like there was 3 seasons, bro. But you know, we've talked about that.
Oh,
But,
side note,
yeah.
we should definitely get into Netflix's Avatar when we hear a little bit more information, just because that's super beautiful. But to your point, Scott, like to see kind of the differentiation, like to see them kind of nail it on the head and give us what we want, that's kind of fantastic. I mean, I feel like we're not really getting that, but to be honest, getting what we want and what we expect, we're almost being spoiled, right? And why don't we just hop into one of our first reviews? Wednesday came out, all 12 episodes, and for me, who's grown up watching the original black and white, who grew up watching Christina Ricci's iteration of what is it called, Wednesday, and watching the Addams Family and Addams Family Values, et cetera, like we talked about for Thanksgiving, one of the great shows. To see this show come out, Jenna Ortega, beautiful job. Carrying the scenes, they did a great casting. They have a great tone. It's definitely different, but it gives you everything that you want. I mean, can you, from what you've seen, Thomas, can you disagree or could you praise it more?
No, I'm really not that far into it, but I've been a fan of Jenna Ortega for a while. Like I wasn't sure about her and You, and then we saw, I forgot what the Apple TV Plus show, what that movie was that we were talking about.
Yes,
it's like,
yes.
you know, sad story about this school shooting and everything, but she was so good in that. Like I was already on board just seeing that she was going to be Wednesday. And then, the first episode, I love that it kind of, again, I don't really know a lot, and you guys can, you give your non-spoiler review, and then spoiler after is fine by me. But it was very interesting from the jump, right? Like it's like it ends on that cliffhanger where people are getting murdered, and you're like, what? How this is, and it's kind of like almost a Harry Potter style school with different factions of different kids and stuff. I thought that was really interesting, but I think what is gonna make me finish the rest of the season isn't just what I saw in the show. It's kind of the stories that have come out from Jenna Ortega behind the scenes, where she like actually learned how to play the cello. She learned, I don't know what she speaks in the show, but like Italian or German or whatever it is. She did a take where she didn't blink at all. And if you look at the show, and you guys maybe can attest to this, but she doesn't blink the entire time in the show.
Oh,
And
Aizawa already.
Yeah, what's that?
I said Aizawa already.
I know, yeah. For real, yeah. That's, too bad that we didn't end with that. That would have been a great segue.
Yeah.
But
We'll come back to that.
yeah, so she's just really impressive, and the way she's kind of taken on the role, and the way she portrays Wednesday is fantastic. I'm sold. Yeah. What about you, Scott?
No, I agree with that. She does a really good job in this role. She does a great job embodying that character that we get from, like, the most Addams Families I watched were the ones with Christina Ricci. So I've seen those a bunch of times, and she really does do that character like to a T. I felt like,
Yes.
and it is cool with the whole show. I didn't know what to expect when I first saw it announced. I was just like, oh, cool, like Christina Ricci's a part of it, and like she looks like she's nailing Wednesday. It is cool, the whole like school, and they all have powers, and like some of them are really unique. Like I'm always interested to see like new takes on powers, and like we can dive into, or this is not really a spoiler. There's one dude who can like draw and like pull monsters out from the pages.
Oh yeah.
And like that, I was like, oh, that's fucking cool. So they dive into that kind of stuff, and the feel of the show. There were times where it made me feel like it reminded me of like a Riverdale or almost like a Sabrina.
Yep.
But it also has its own feel, and the story is really good. Like
Yes.
I was actually surprised how much I ended up liking it. Like I knew it was gonna be a good time, but by the time you get to the ending of the season, you're like, because there's like a mystery element too as well. Like you kind of like you get excited, like, oh, I think it's this person, I think it's this person, I think it's this person. Like, so by the end, you're like pretty enthralled
Invested,
in it. So
yeah,
and you're
yep.
invested. So I really enjoyed it. Yeah. What do you think?
No, I agree. I agree with that sentiment. Like, it did embody Wednesday. I don't want to say to perfection, but to perfection. Like what you expect out of it, right? To that point, very interesting take because it kind of surrounds a school. What you see a lot of is character growth. which typically we're not seeing that. We're kind of seeing things kind of play out the way that it is, and there's already established characters, but you get to see Wednesday in a way where she's growing as a person that you didn't get to see with Christina Ricci, that you didn't get to see in the original. And what the Addams Family truly is about in one perspective is the acceptance of you being different, and you are completely living your true self. And you get to see them in environments where maybe people are a little bit sparse and they're really unsure of your quote unquote weirdness or your difference, but you're still living your you, and people then have to kind of accept you, and you are more working towards, or I guess enlightened or like the people who are more willing to be accepting, right? Those characters happen to be a little bit more enthralling, a little bit more interesting, but now we get to see a situation where she's put in a place where it's kind of her element, but it's also not her element because she has to be social, even though she's in a situation where there's a lot of quote unquote outcasts, a lot of other characters, and we haven't really gotten to see that before. And there's some portions where she becomes kind of a teen, but there's other times where she's so mature because she's essentially Wednesday, right? So we get to see a lot of differentiation. And for me, one of the things that does stand out is the casting. The casting is just by far the best. Once you get to a point where you get to see Uncle Fester, I thought that was a great casting choice. I mean, he plays Uncle Fester perfectly. We won't mention it, so you go watch it. And just the story in itself it was enthralling. You got to see kind of layers upon layers. Like Thing has a much deeper background, and the parents, you get to see a little bit more of their originality and their background, and maybe even why Wednesday is the way she is. And you get a much larger deep dive of the Addams Family as a whole. And I typically I like to spoil things a little bit, but with this box of milk, for sure you need to go try it out for yourself. Swallow it all in, deep into your throat. And
some like lactose intolerant person is like, I do not want to try any milk.
Yeah,
so.
It could be soy milk, it could be
I
rice
get what
milk,
you're saying.
It could be almond milk.
That's true. That's true.
But
I stand corrected.
If you're not watching it, you're doing yourself a little bit of a disservice, to be honest. So,
damn.
Do we have anything more
get
on
your
that, or
life
do we want?
together
Yeah,
and watch the show.
Yeah, get your friggin' life together.
Damn it.
Yeah.
All right. Yep. I feel guilty now. I need to get my life together. Idiot.
But we'll just leave it there. So we'll leave a cliffhanger so all of these Wednesday fans can jump off and fly. But in the meantime, why don't we get into some of our reviews of our three favorite animes right now? And we'll start off with Chainsaw Man, episode 8. We know this is a great show, and we've already had some filler episodes. We had some crazy episodes, but Thomas, from this last episode, what made you get a big shtick?
Yeah. Well, the episode before this one, right? I think it was 7. I think we're on 8 now. But the episode before this, it ends where Denji goes to the eye patch girl's house. And I'm like, is she really about to hook up with this minor? So very on brand for this episode.
Hey-o.
I was like, oh, dang. Like, it's funny. Like, Christina always walks in right before there's like something super sexual in there. And she's like, what are you watching? I'm like, I promise it's not just about pervy things. It's not hentai, I swear. But, like...
Itai.
Wow. And then they like are about to kiss and like Bob and then vomit goes in his mouth, right?
Yeah.
That literally almost made me
eats
sick.
it. Yeah.
I cannot do anybody vomiting. Like it makes me want
They
to
had
vomit.
to blur it for the anime, right?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. But it just makes me so nauseous. That was gross. And then she's about to hook up with him. I'm like, wait, is he about to like hook up with her name, with whatever her name is, and it's kind of cute. Like he thinks about Mrs. Makima, I think is her name.
Yeah, Makima.
And he's like, no, I want to save it for her. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cute. But also I was like, if Eye Patch Lady is an adult and he's like 16, is that like statutory? I don't know. I don't know how it works in Japan.
If you're an orphan and you don't have parents to get mad, is it statutory?
I don't know what the laws are.
Jump in the comments, guys. Let us know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, hit us up on Twitter about that one. But that part of it was kind of cute, and then it goes from there, and then you kind of see things from Makima's perspective, and she's going to Kyoto, and then out of nowhere, just like talk about Tarantino, like it's popped in the head out of nowhere, and that was the first moment in this episode. I was like, oh shit, this is like anybody can go at any time. That I was like, hands on my head, like holy shit, that was crazy. And then we go from there, and then everybody's eating. It's kind of like jumping back and forth, right? Like, so it's jumping between them being in the restaurant after they were drinking and everything, and then it's also like the present day where she was on the train, Makima was on the train, and then the rest of the crew and the hunters were like at a restaurant eating, and then that guy starts going on a spiel, right?
It looked like a because they were mentioning the Gun Devil, and they kept mentioning how Denji's gonna, he agreed to kill the Gun Devil, and it looked like a planned mass attack. So you're getting this view of like all these things happening simultaneously, whether it's people like possessed or like people that are just like maybe enslaved to the Gun Devil or something, and they all agree to like, it's kind of a crazy episode. Like, and there's even a warning before it, right? Like it has to do pretty much like a mass shooting. Like a lot of people are getting shot. So much so that I thought at one point in this episode, I'm like, someone's got like a time travel like demon, and they're gonna fix this, because like there's no way all this is happening in one episode. Like
right.
it was insane, and it just keeps progressing. Like people get shot, and then there's like a new villain we're introduced to, who like looks like Chainsaw Man, but he's like Machete Man or something. What is
right. Yeah, that's what I was wondering too. I guess he was like sword man. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah,
but that was cool. This whole episode was insane, and what's his name with the sword? He ends up finally using his sword.
Yeah, she calls him Top Knot. Like, I know Power calls him Top Knot, right? And he's the guy that took Denji in, and then he took Power in. But he finally uses the sword. And I didn't like fully grasp it, but it's like, he called it a curse, right?
Yeah.
And then you see when he grabs, the curse grabs Sword Man, there's like two demons kind of like nibbling on his arms and shoulders. Yeah, I was like, man, it was just creepy. It was, man, it was such a good, it kind of reminded me, like, the feeling kind of reminded me when I watched The Grudge for the first time. Ooh. Where I'm like, ooh, this is like kind of like, there's this Asian influence, but also like there's like these weird little creepy details in it. Yeah. And the way they use sound and no sound was really interesting.
Even the way it's like this giant finger comes out and is like hammering the back of the sword like a nail, like ding, like like it was just visually really cool and creepy. And I get that for sure. Like, and it was like a one-upmanship in like this demon thing. You're like,
where Himeno was bringing out her ghost devil, and she was like, whatever it takes to save Aki. And then the ghost devil, multiple arms, and then Himeno loses her arm, and then she keeps going, she loses her other arm, she keeps going, she loses her leg, her other leg, her torso, it just remains, and the ghost devil just gets fucking obliterated,
and then gets like eaten by like Tremor's demon or something.
Yeah, the snake demon or some crazy shit like that.
Yeah.
It was nuts. I mean, the depth that it's going into so immediately, I mean, episode 8 only deepens the story plot and only makes you want to watch more, because what is going on here? Unless you already read the manga, you're definitely, hanging by a thread right now.
Yeah. This gave me Attack on Titan vibes, where like you're 6 episodes in and then the main character gets eaten by the giant, and you're like, what? I thought he's like the main dude. Like,
where do we go?
Like, so much happens this episode. You're like, oh, okay. So from now on, don't get attached to anybody. Like,
right? Yeah, it's like when you watch the first season of Game of Thrones. You're like, okay, I guess no Stark is safe anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Ned Stark is gone. Like he's the main dude. But yeah, I mean, Denji has died more times than anybody. So I don't feel like he's dead. Like, he's the only one where I feel like he can actually come to life. But everybody else, I'm like, they're not half devil. like they just have partnerships with these devils. So like they're not as protected, I feel like, as he is.
Right.
Like I'm
true.
just
And I'm assuming Makima's not dead because she gets shot and then she's like not moving the whole episode after that. But because
She's
we
definitely
haven't
not dead.
seen what she's okay, cool. Because we haven't seen what she does, and like everyone is like kind of afraid of her. So like she's definitely powerful. So yeah. Well, that answers my question. She's not dead. So I got that feeling. But I'm like, how is she gonna come back? I thought for sure his like sword was like he made a deal with like time or something, and then that's why he like loses his life because he like gives up his own time to get time back or something.
that's a good theory, man.
but-
That would have been, I would have agreed with you if you had said that
Yeah.
last week.
Yeah. Cursed devil. Who would have known?
Who would have known? It's still cool though. Very cool.
Yeah.
The show it's like does a great job with like introducing like new ways to show awesome battle in an animation form. Like, and the story's great. Yeah, I just can't wait till next week. Like, what a big episode! It went by so quick. This felt like a 10-minute episode.
Yeah,
no,
it
yeah.
did.
It's to be honest, I think a lot of the animes that we've been watching feel super short because we just want to see more. And moving on from one crazy battle scene to another, how did we feel about the latest episode of My Hero Academia? Deku,
Gosh.
Shigaraki? No, what was it?
Mr.
Shigaraki.
Aizawa.
Mr. Aizawa. Yeah.
Starts off
Oh.
insane, right?
I know, right?
Yeah, like I thought that was going to be the craziest anime because that was the first one I watched. And in the first 10 seconds, right, we see the dart that goes towards Mr. Aizawa, and he's like holding the eye gaze, so that Shigaraki can't use his power. And as soon as that dart hits it, he just like pulls out his sword and cuts off his own leg. I was like, what the hell? Like, this is a whole new level of My Hero all of a sudden. This is insane. It was, like a 1:30 in the morning. Christina's sleeping, the dogs are sleeping. And I had to be so silent with my reaction. I was like, oh. Like, what is going on? So I thought that was going to be the craziest thing. And then Deku goes full, like, apeshit, like, he was sensei, and then you could just see him get super pissed. Man, I thought this was, another shocking kind of anime moment. All the anime this week, I think, I don't know if we said this already, but has been super good. Like, even Bleach was fantastic, but this one really shocked me again, too, where I was like, holy crap, this is nuts. I forget where it goes from there, but, yeah.
I know we have number one hero at one point, like,
Endeavor.
Bakugo makes a plan, right? He's like, he can't keep this up forever because Deku's like, he messed up his arm by going 100%, so his left arm is like jacked, and he's holding what's the bad guy's name again?
Shigaraki.
Shigaraki. He's holding Shigaraki with that whip, so he's kind of like going back and forth, hitting him, but Bakugo's like, he only has so much time. Let me devise this plan. Todoroki, you're gonna come with us, cool off Endeavor as much as you can, and then Endeavor, he's like, I got it, I'm gonna go full power, and he just grabs him like fully grabs Shigaraki and just goes like totally almost kamikaze on him. Like he's like, you guys got to get back. I'm just gonna unleash everything on him. Like I feel like every anime right now, especially My Hero and Bleach, we're seeing like the max power of people, and then like it's not good enough. So I'm like, how are we supposed to beat these bad guys? Like, number one goes full throttle, and it's still not enough. And then Baku takes a hit for Deku, which is awesome. In that way of
Bakugo
like,
does.
Bakugo does, like in the way of like he's been rough on him this whole time, but deep down he loves him like a brother, So
it's nice to see a little bit of change of character in Bakugo because I'm like, what is he just gonna always just be a dick to everybody all the time? And it's like this is like one of the things where I feel like he's truly been selfless. Like where he's like, he does care for somebody, whether he can show it or not. But and then we see that Ichigo, no, oops, that's Bleach already. But that Midoriya, Bunkai, where am I? But we see that Midoriya like also has already unleashed another power, and that they didn't even talk about. And he has like a float power, like whatever her name is, float girl, Ochako.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that was cool too. That now he's unleashed 3 of the 7 powers, and they like subtly dropped it in. I was like, not only do we have Aizawa cutting off his own leg, and then and then seeing Endeavor go full 100%, but we also now get a drop of Midoriya with a 3rd power in this episode. I was like, it was too much. My mind was like, what are you doing to me? Like this, it was too much for one episode.
I know they throw in a little bit of a flashback in the middle, like, oh yeah, about this power. This is when we already covered this, but for the viewers, here, catch up. And you're like, you feel a little left out. I don't know, I did.
Yeah,
I'm like, I would have liked that episode earlier, but you find out he moves around by flicking his fingers, like boo boo boo, and like that's how he's moving. So it's like they're
Right.
justifying everything you're seeing. Like, oh yeah, this is how he's moving. You're like, oh okay, let me backtrack what I just saw. Okay, I get it now. So I see
Yeah.
what you're saying. It is kind of an overload of like craziness, and it's probably all happening in like what 30 seconds. I feel like this whole
Yeah.
season has been like a 10-minute like thing. You know, like
Right. Yeah, like 5 minutes has gone by in like 8 episodes, but it's so much at one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy.
Yeah, man, I can't say enough about the animes that we're watching. They do a such a fantastic job of keeping us enthralled. And from one to the next, Bleach Thousand Year War arc has been delivering at every point in time. This newest episode, we get to see Squad Zero, who defend essentially the Spirit Realm King, who we really don't get a lot of information about. Who Aizen originally wanted to go to that realm. That's why he was fighting the Serete in general. And then you kind of get to see the Zero Squad, which if you read the manga, you get a little bit more of information that their squad in general, who protect the king, is stronger than all 13 court squads. That in order to become that, you need to essentially be nominated and or have given something to the Shinigami as in total. So one of them created the Zanpakuto. One of them is the best healer possible. One of them created the uniform, et cetera, et cetera. So all of these individuals have, are at the upper echelon of why they're there. And this is a part of the arc where you start to get hope, and just letting you know moving forward, like, be cautious about where you put your emotions and your feelings moving forward, because you're thinking right now like, oh, this is the same Shonen Jump we get to see, right? The characters get stronger, they go through a little tribulation, they come back,
level up.
yeah, they're gonna level up. It's gonna be even better. But to be honest, having seen the manga, read the manga, yes and no.
Okay.
And
Interesting.
even moving into the fact that there's another arc, the Hell arc, post this one, it's gonna give you what you want, but not in the way that you might expect it, or maybe not even in the way you might even want it. So be ready for what's to come. But from what you've seen so far in this Bleach, like how are you positioning yourself emotionally, physically, with all this crazy information that they're giving to you?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Sure. Yeah, I'll just say, because this is the first episode where I actually felt like I kind of knew what was going on. Like, I liked this episode a lot because it kind of reset things. And I was like, okay, I get, like, it kind of reminded me back. Because I tried to recap as much as I could before the season started. And I was like, damn, there's just too much. And there's been too much time that I haven't been following it. And I haven't been reading the manga. So it's like, it was the first one where I'm like, oh, I remember this. Oh, I remember this. Oh, they're there. So it was really cool as like a reset. And I'm sure you're right. Like, this reset is probably just what is it? Like, it's like a trap in a way that, oh, I feel good now. Like, yay, things might get better. But, right, we know that it shit's still going to go down. So I liked this episode a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, now I know I'm ready to be heard again.
No, yeah, that's good. This definitely felt like a palate cleanser, right? Like they can't hit you in the feels the whole time. So
Right.
they're like, oh, here's like these new people. They're way stronger. Gets you excited. They were also kind of different than I thought. Like I didn't expect the people to be the beings that are stronger than the captains, who are already like mostly pretty serious people. We're kind of like silly and like joyful. Like
Yeah.
the people that they were really showing out, like the big guy, he's like, ah ha ha, he's like the ghost of Christmas present or something. And
He
like
made it sound like Seth Rogen.
and then the dude that's a healer from because he's like the only dude that we kind of got to see the most of his power because towards the end he has that bath right that he put them in to heal them, but he has like this crazy long hair and like the way he like talks to them, he's like super lean back or like super, like just weird angles and like kind of a goofy dude. And then you got that like robot lady and stuff. So it's just like not what I expected, but I also can't wait to see them like any animation. Like you see the goofy side, and then when they snap into serious mode, you're like, oh fuck, don't fuck with them. But it is cool. You get to see like that next level, that next plane. I didn't expect them to be so spread out. You have to like almost get catapulted to like the next areas and stuff. Like that was kind of interesting. I am excited to see that new area and see Ichigo's because Ichigo's sword got destroyed, his Zanbakuto. So they said they can't make it like it was, but they can like kind of mend it and like make it something else in a way, like maybe stronger, but it's not going to be the same, right? Is that what they were saying, Drake?
Yes, it's so the individuals they took, right? What is that called? Zaraki? No. What's his name? Zabimaru? What's that guy's name? Renji. They took a Renji.
Abadai Renji.
Yeah, they took they I
Rukia.
think they took Rukia. They took the two people you want to see the most, right? They took Byakuya and Zaraki up there to heal them because that dude it taught Unohana how to heal. And remember,
Right.
if you read the manga, Unohana, she was not always the original leader of Squad 4. She was not the original leader of Squad 4.
Yeah, because I was like, I don't really remember. And again, it kind of goes back to like, I tried to recap it. That's the only thing I wish about this show is that they kind of like recapped a little bit of what happened. But then, I was like, why don't I remember who she is? And so, thanks for letting me know that.
They will definitely go into Unohana's background on this, just because that's kind of what you're going to, what they're going to have to get into. And with individuals, you're going to start to see some characters reoccurring. You're going to start to see more power scaling. You're going to start to see kind of the depth that it goes into. Because remember, they also introduced the original 13 court squads, right? Their original captains. Unohana was one of them, and then the old man, the original, was Yamamoto. He was also one of them, right? So you're talking about all these other individuals they introduced that we have not seen their backstories yet, and then you see a little bit more of the Zero Squad, which we haven't seen, the Royal Guard, which we haven't seen any more of their backstories yet as well too. But remember, all of these dudes have like so much to do with why the Serete is there, and you have this really immovable force of the Quincy's. How is all of this going to stack up? Because the one line that stands out is when Tenjiro, the one who heals people with the little swoop, he said, Unohana, you know that you don't have enough power to heal these people.
Right.
And
yeah.
Soifan is like, why weren't you here to help us? You're supposed to blah, blah, blah. And he's like, wow, it's strange how you would essentially complain because you're here to guard the Serete. We're here to guard the God King. Right? So you didn't do your job. And the fact that they're there is not means that there has been so much fallout. And so when we do get to see the revised versions of all the characters that are getting healed and things of the such, the people who need to power up to get to a place where they even stand a chance, that's when you're going to start to see a lot more of the depth. Because with all the animes that we've been seeing so far, they're getting, for lack of a better term, darker, right? Aizawa cuts off his own leg. With Chainsaw Man, you're starting to see like deaths that you didn't think you were going to see. And in Bleach, you started seeing murder from the beginning where they were getting wiped out. So I like the where they're going with all of this. But just to let you know, there's more to come. There's more to come.
Nice. Man, excited about that. Yeah,
too.
the animes. Oh, I'm so happy that we're covering all these because every one of them has been super, super good.
Yes, but to be honest, from some things that we've been seeing, Andor's finale finally hit the streets. And boys, for me, I can tell you that I got emotional. But Thomas, Scott, tell us, how did you feel about Andor's finale? Do you think it was worth it? Do you think it could have been better? Do you think it was perfect? Let us know.
Yeah, Scott? Go. Oh, yeah, for me, as soon as the episode was finished, I was like, they did it. They stuck the landing. Like, it has built up from this ground level thing, and then you start taking steps up the mountain, and then you get to the top, and you're like, how, or you think you're at the top, and you're like, how can I go up from here? And you're like, the only thing that can happen is we're going to come crashing down the hill. And the last episode, I was like, they did it. We got to the top of Mount Fuji, and I get to look out and see the sunset, and it's beautiful. And that's how I felt about it at the end of the show. Like, it was so well done. So well done. It was powerful.
So for you, they shticked the landing?
Oh, they shticked it hard.
Nice. Scott, do you feel similarly, or do you have a different disposition?
No, I feel the exact same way actually. It felt like this whole dang show felt like a really good movie. And yeah, this ending felt great. Like, if I know we're gonna get a season 2, but like if we didn't, like, this felt good. Like, this felt like it could have been a one-shot thing, and I'd be happy with it. Like, it's so solid. Yeah, there's definitely like build up in the. They're building up to this whole thing, and then like when it finally happens in this episode, you're right there in the intensity, and it's so good. This show is so good. I'm happy we got to watch it.
Wow, sounds like a lot of speechlessness came from it. Do we want to talk about?
Are we not describing it well?
Yeah,
I wasn't.
But do we want to talk about maybe some of our favorite parts of the episode where we felt it really stood out and really gave Andor the cherry on top that it really deserved and that it showed out to be?
Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to think of what his friend's name is. Like, one of the parts. Yeah, Braza or something like that. He's the guy that like helps him. Yeah, he helps him like get away. He kind of looks like that one dude from Heroes. He's kind of like a jovial kind of looking dude. And, yeah. But basically, he's the one that ends up, like, he takes care of like B2ME, or BEMO, B2MEMO, whatever it is.
Disney's new moneymaker. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But so one of my favorite parts is when he fills Cassian in on like Marva's last words to him. And he basically goes like, you have you have everything you need emotionally, you have everything you need intelligently, like nothing you could ever do wrong could ever make me stop loving you. I was like, Jesus, like the writing there, it was just so beautifully done. And it's like, in some ways it's almost better that Marva didn't tell Cassian herself, because it was like a friend giving him her last words. And he's like, and maybe he's omitting a bunch of stuff where she was like, don't tell him this or don't tell him this. But like the way he delivered it on behalf of Marva to Cassian it's just so beautiful, man. It's like, yeah, that's just like, what a great friend. That guy was like such a great friend all the way through the show. And that was just really nice to see.
Yeah, his name was Brazo.
Braza? Yeah.
Brazos from...
From Only Murders in the Building. That's why I was like, am I saying this wrong? Because I was thinking of only...
BRASSL. However you want to say that. I kind of forget how they say it in the show, but...
Yeah. So that guy was killer. He did such a great job. That was one of my favorite moments.
The actors in this are just so good.
So
like,
good.
There's never a point where I'm like, oh, I wish they got a better person here.
Yeah.
Every actor is so spot on, and like nothing in this show knocks me out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm just in it the whole time. Like, so good. There were a couple. What is it? There was one part. just kind of a small little tangent where my brain went because I watched the Mario trailer, and then there's a part where what's his name, Luthen?
Yeah.
Luthen goes and he rides his like little vehicle that's just as big as he is out.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And I'm like, he looks like he's riding like a bullet bill, like right out of there. But that was the only thing that I was like, maybe took me out of it because I watched that Mario trailer. But everything else, so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we touch on that? The whole intro for the show was basically the band getting together and like slowly adding in instruments, so that the end of the end of the series was basically all the instruments from the band coming together, which was like the processional for Marva's funeral. Like it was like so genius. Like if you listen to the beginning song on the first episode, it's very subtle. There may only be like a few strings, and then it starts adding in horns later and everything. And at the end, the last episode, it's like a it's the full band that is, walking down the street for Marva's funeral. It's like just the detail there is so well done, so smart, so well thought out. I was like, holy shit, like it was there all along. Like the hints were there all along for that type of detail. And I was too dumb to realize it till like the final episode. It's like so good. That right there was also like another amazing thing.
Let me add to the layers of details, because they brought back some characters that we know kind of already passed, whether or not they're in the past literally and or they've passed figuratively. That makes sense. The two moments for me that made me feel the most feels was when Andor, it was like kind of like a montage sort of kind of, and then you heard in the background one of the do you remember the original kid who was the writer of the group when they were trying to attack the base? Fennec, and he was speaking through his own words and talking about like what true rebellion is, and I was like, oh man, that's pretty legit. Like that resonates with me. And then you hear Marva's speech in the holocron, and I like everything for me came together. I'm like, holy shit, like this is what this whole show was about, is just this tiny grain of hope growing in these individuals. And you get it at this crescendo where she's charging up, and it's giving me goosebumps right now, charging up the entire town to where it explodes, figuratively and literally, and you start to see people give a shit. And from Luthen's perspective too, because remember, he was there to kind of like finish the job in this way or another.
Right, like take out Cassian. Yeah,
take out Cassian, and you got to see like, holy shit, like you got to see him realize that there is still hope, right? So there's so much different ideas of hope moving around, and in that whole situation, when you see these people fighting, and again, we've been seeing how the Empire oppresses. We've been seeing how these tiny little acts are growing into this much bigger thing, and then now we get to see the actual literal situation. And then, I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but then Luthen has a decision to make with Cassian, and a little smirk comes about, and then there's an end credit scene into which we get a lot more context of that we can talk about. But yeah, man, those are some of the things that really stood out that made Andor one of my favorite Star Wars things.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, spoiler alert.
Oh yeah, spoiler alert.
No, I'm just kidding. No, you're so right. I agree with all those points you made, and I think you did a perfect job explaining it. Yeah. Scott, anything else to add?
There's another little fun thing I noticed. Like, there's that part where Brasso is getting word from that guy who spoke to Andor, and he was like, I told him about Marva, and he's like, I hope you told him not to come back, and he's like, oh, I couldn't talk that long. And then there's that guy who's like a spy who like ends up following that guy to the bar and like trying to get information out of him. So that guy that's the spy, like when they leave off of him to cut to the next scene, it cuts straight to that boy building the bomb.
Yeah.
And then later when he throws the bomb, it cuts to that same spy getting blown up in the face looking out the window. So I thought that was interesting. Like, it was like foreshadowing, like that bomb is going to be his demise, even if he wasn't in the same room. But the way they cut it, I was like, oh, that's interesting.
You're right. You're right. Like, and I want to get into, because I also felt similar. The episode kind of starts that way, and when you stick through like the post credit scene, I don't know if we want to explain it, but there's also like a weird connection I thought there too, which is like right. It starts off he's making that bomb, and then the post credit scene. Yeah, again, we'll put full spoilers up for everybody, but spoiler alert here if you haven't watched it. But like, then it cuts to, you see those robots making, or like the drones making the or droids making a part of this like paneled spaceship looking thing, and you see like the pieces that all the prisoners were making going into it, and then it like zooms out, zooms out, right, and then okay, boom, he's making the Death Star, and it's like holy shit, right? But like the
right
way
into Rogue One.
Right? Yeah. But like, I think there's still like a couple years right before Rogue One, which I think we'll see in season 2. But yeah, like, but it does show that Cassian, what he was making was like the vehicle of his own demise. But I think the point I was trying to make was like, you see that guy building the bomb to like initially start the rebellion, and then you also like zoom in to the droids making the Death Star, which ends up becoming the demise of the Empire.
Right.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
So yeah, it's like, man, just different ways of making the connections there that Tony Gilroy was able to do through multiple different Star Wars properties, and just like in his own show, using his own characters, and just dramatic story points was so good, so damn good. This for me is like one of the top movies. We'll do our episode of like the top movies, movies and shows of the year, but this is by far one of my favorite shows of the year, like hands down.
Yep.
Yeah, hands down, pants down. It was definitely the biggest Schtick Energy possible. Can't say enough about Andor. Very excited for season 2. Do we have some maybe predictions on what season 2 is going to be about? Maybe just Luthen and Cassian just like hooking up, or
oh yeah, I love
Heyo.
that. No, I think it's now that we know Cassian is a part of the rebel cause, how does he move to rank of captain, right? Because in Rogue One, he's a captain of his unit. So how does he get to that level where the rebellion now is fully formed and he is a captain in the rebellion? So that's where I think we see the next season go.
Yeah.
Interesting. I like that. Also, maybe the introduction of more of the Rogue One characters potentially.
Yeah.
Scott?
Yep. So the last episode, we talked about, I was like, oh, we still haven't seen Alan Tudyk. But then, I'm so silly. Like, he does, like, just voices. So the robot we saw earlier that was just, like, a regular droid, that was probably him. I thought we're going to get, like, the actual, like, Alan Tudyk version that we got in the Rogue One movie. But he probably just voiced the robot that, like, held Cassian up and sent him to jail and all that. So, I mean, that's cool, too.
Oh,
But,
yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I was like, he probably did that voice.
Yeah, you're right. He probably did do that voice. Okay, yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that. Yeah, because he could do any type of droid that they needed him to, since he's that talented.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Alan Tudyk is so freaking good. I mean, Jesus Christ. What an amalgamator. You know what I mean? He can just fit into any situation possible. Surprised he's not already in a Marvel situation.
Yeah, that's a good point. I would be for it. That's one guy I would like to be in there.
He's already got like a contract with Disney, right, or some sort? Because he was in Moana. He was the voice of the chicken. So.
Oh yeah, that's true.
With Disney.
Yeah,
that's just not doing him justice. Like,
let's give him another Marvel.
He was the
animal
voice of a chicken. That's
he was the voice of the chicken.
Like what?
It's like, oh.
It was so funny. Little tangent. He came down to Hawaii Comic Con one time, and there were all these questions about Moana, and he was like, "Yeah, I just did the voice of the chicken. Like, I don't know too much about what else is going on." He's like, "Are you gonna be in Moana too?" He's like, "Yeah, again, just the chicken. I wish I knew more." Like, but it was just so funny. He got like a surprising amount about Moana.
Yeah,
like,
that's great. Yeah. Well, any other final thoughts on Andor? Before we close it out to Nizzle?
I don't think so, dude. Let's do it right. Let's put the shtick out.
All right. Well,
Right now.
Yeah, pull it out.
do I just whip it out on camera?
Yeah.
Anyways, I just say thanks everybody. Per usual, make sure to, if you stay this far, thank you. Shout out to Bethany again.
Bethany.
We really appreciate you. And I highly recommend you guys watch all of these things. And if you want to chat with us, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter. We have more things coming up in the future. December is going to be a big month for us, so we are looking into making YouTube a thing as well. So we will let you know when that comes out. But definitely engage with us. Hit us up, man. We'd love to hear what you guys thought about all the anime this week, about Andor, about Wednesday. So please let us know. And also we're going to be doing some fun stuff. Some of us will be at LA Comic-Con. So make sure you're following us on the socials because you'll get to see what we're doing at LA Comic-Con. So let us know.
All right, everybody. Thanks for sticking it with us. Until next time.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
All right. Law.
Shoot.
The Joystick Show.
If you like what you hear, please like, follow, and subscribe. Just how we like chatting with our friends, please share this with yours. Feel free to join the squad and follow us on Twitch, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube at JoyStickShow, Joystick Show. Or if you feel like submitting topics or asking questions to be discussed on further episodes, you can email us at joystick.show@gmail.com. Peace out and make it a great rest of your week.